How great would it be to get up close and personal with the beauty industry heroes we love and admire, and to ask them, how did you learn to do what you do? I'm Chris Baran, a hairstylist and educator for 40 plus years, and I'm inviting all our heroes to chat and share the secrets of their success. Well, my friends, welcome to another episode of Headcases. And I wanted to have someone on that could myth bust some of the ones that have been haunting our industry. And I believe I've got the perfect person, because today's guest is an award-winning entrepreneur. She's a leadership coach, and she is a sought-after keynote speaker. She's helped individuals and organizations unlock their full potential. And as the CEO of Revamp Salon Company Incorporated, she's built a thriving high-performance business while mentoring leaders, entrepreneurs, and teams to create sustainable success. She is the go-to speaker for conferences, corporate events, and leadership summits. She's going to be hitting on the top 10 myths that cripple our beauty industry. So let's get into this week's head case, Celene Dupuis. Celene Dupuis, welcome to Head Cases. It is such a pleasure to have you on here, and I just want to say welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
You know, it's been, 100 years since we've known one another on here? I don't know. My mom always said, she told me a million times to stop exaggerating, but how many years have we known one another?
Oh, I think probably like for sure 20.
Yeah.
It doesn't look a day over 5.
Yeah, exactly. On your end, not mine. But listen, I and just so everybody watching and listening now, we kind of cheated yesterday, and we had a great conversation yesterday, and just to talk about what we wanted to chat about with everybody here. And what so impressed me and I have to tell you this, and I've talked about it in the intro, is Celene is probably one of the people that I equate to, that I have a kinship with, because I really believe, Celene, that you are one of the few people in our industry that evolve with what is necessary in your life. Meaning, and I've done the same panel where I was the perm guy, the color guy, the design guy, and now I'm the training guy, etc. And I find that's where you've kind of evolved. I love so much how you've taken yourself through the whole industry and evolved to becoming one of the best coaches that I think there is out there. So when everybody listening, when we chatted last night, started to chat about it, and we were having these side conversations about the myths that there are in our industry. And we were just lucky enough to have Celene that says, listen, I've got a whole bunch of myths that I'd love to dispel. And so that's what we've got 10 myths, count them, 10. And I hope I got 10 fingers. I didn't know there was math involved, but we're going to talk about those. So Celene, now first off, just about while we head this up, where does it come from? Like, why do you think some of these myths that start in there, where do you think that they all come from?
Oh, I mean, that's a really good question, Chris. I feel like part of my story, I've told this story multiple times. People die when they hear it, but like growing up, I told my parents I wanted to be a hairdresser. And the first thing that they had said to me was like, okay, we support that, but we're worried you won't make money. And when I was a kid, like many hairdressers, I was like ADHD all over the place. My family used to joke, they're like, Celene will probably drop out of high school and become a stripper or a hairdresser. And so, I mean, I think if I would have done both, I probably would be a lot richer. However, that's kind of the negative connotation that's put on the beauty industry as a whole. And so I think a lot of these myths come from, honestly, I think we talked about this yesterday, fear, fear-based misinformation about what really is possible, because the average hairdresser makes $27,000 Canadian a year, which is not great. So I think a lot of these myths are just born from ignorance and from fear-based thinking around the beauty industry not being a profitable industry.
I love what you said there, Celene. And there's one thing, there's a myth right there in and of itself. Even though it's written, and I'm sure it's probably the same thing in the Canadian government as it is down here in the US, they have that figured down. I think it's 27.5 or 27.7 is what they say the average hairdresser makes. And it's killing our industry for people to get grants, for the students to get involved, for people to get loans. But we know that's from several reasons. And I don't want to take time away from talking about the myths here, but we know that part of that comes from people not declaring their income. It comes from the fact that that if we've got the average income, that we have some people working 5 days a week, some people working 1, 2, or 3 days a week, and doing minimal work in those time frames, and they're averaged out that just in those time frames, but they're not pushed forward into if somebody worked 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and if they did that, there was studies that brought it up to actually to 55,000 something, which made it on par with when people just start out in electricians, other trades, etc. I was even talking to my doctor, and I know that I'm so young, you're probably thinking, you went going to a doctor? Yes, it was for hangnails. However, she said that her son spent the last 7 years in school, and his starting salary as a doctor, as an intern, was $35,000. So I think a lot of the people just, they think of the faraway number, not the close number when people are sticking out. So I wanted to make sure that it's a statistical myth that, as we know, can be jived by any kind of numbers. But let's jive back in. I don't want to miss these. So what do you think that the one, I'm going to call them one, we've got 10, but what do you think? What's the one you want to start with?
Well, I think the biggest one, and it's funny because I'm working on writing a book right now with 10 other mentors involved with the High Performance Salon Academy. And the whole premise of the book is based around this first myth.
Yeah.
And it's like the idea that I'm just a hairdresser. And whether you're a beauty professional, this isn't just for hairdressers, but like working in the beauty industry, that like it's not a viable career. And again, I mentioned that in my opening words that that's such a huge problem.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I think that is the biggest myth because I would love to know how many other careers you can like really set your own hours. Like if you work in an office, you're like 9 to 5, right? Like we can, like I had a baby, was able to come back and work 5 to 9 when my husband was home from work. Like there's not very many careers that offer the flexibility and the ability to earn income. If I want to take a trip to Bali next year, I can just, pick up 5, 6 extra shifts and earn a little extra cash.
Yeah.
Like it's very, very customizable, and it can be very lucrative. So I think that's a huge problem that myth exists.
Why do you think that? Because there's an operative word, and that's a simple sentence. I'm just a stylist. It's my era, baby boomer. And so our era was hairdresser. I'm just a hairdresser, stylist, nail tech, masseuse, esthetician. It runs rampant in the beauty industry. And what do you think that the just comes from? There's got to be something that started it. What is it?
Yeah, I mean, great question. We both know and love Blair Singer. I mean, he wrote Little Voice Mastery, and I'm a certified Little Voice Mastery coach, and it's all about mindset.
Yes.
And so, I mean, I've coached so many people through, that 6 inches between our ears, like that little voice and a lot of that I think comes from just the way we speak to ourselves, like right down to our self-concept on like, thinking that, we're not enough or, I'm just, and you tell people I'm in the beauty industry. They're like, that's cute. What does your husband do? Right. And it's like, well, actually, I would like to say I've out-earned every relationship I've ever been in. So I think that myth is false. And I actually like to answer, I have a house husband. But I think that it's just coming from mindset and about people thinking that this is like a second class industry.
But wouldn't you? I mean, it really is because it's perpetuated in our
Mm-hmm.
industry. I mean, I'm going to get a little crass here, but it really pisses me off the way that the movie industry, even when I'm watching TV, even watching TV, and oh, yes, okay, God, I watch some crime shows, and the crime shows when they just talk about somebody that, oh, the producer just got on the line, so he went potty mouth. Uh, so just the way that we're perceived in the industry, we're either perceived as airheads, flakes, those crazy people that do and wear wild hair. But that's the part of our industry. Like when you're in the clothing industry, makeup industry, anything to do with beauty, fashion, let's face it, if you look like a boring, drab person, would you want to go to that person as a hairdresser? You wanted them to be stylish, right up to trend. And
100%.
whether it's blondes or high fashion color, you want to see that in the industry because that's what you're going in there. When I go to buy clothes, I want to walk into a place that looks and feels like I do, and that's part of the culture. So I
Mm.
think that if we can help to get, I've always said, take the just out of I'm just a stylist. And
Yeah.
that is, just as you said, it's mindset. Interesting part, when, we always talk about gifts that people give us, and would you agree that sometimes the gifts that they give us aren't good ones?
Yeah. Oh,
When they talk
100%.
to us about oh, isn't that cute? That's a gift that they
Yeah.
give us. And if we choose to go, oh, you don't perceive me as good as you can
Yeah.
take that on.
Yeah. Well, and perception is reality. And I think an eye opener for me to last week, I was in at our local hair school. I try and go in like a couple times a year and teach. And I asked the question, how many of you are people pleasers? Because one of the
Mm,
things I've noticed is that a lot of hairstylists or people in the beauty industry are people that love to make people feel great. And often, I mean, we're in the customer service industry. It's like customer's always right. So we're taught to be people pleasers. And actually, I learned from you the acronym NICE. It's like not
mhm,
interested to care enough. It's like when your mom's
mhm.
like, be nice, be nice. That means don't tell the truth,
Yeah.
just say what we want to hear. And I think that so many hairstylists are people pleasers. And I think that a lot of that behavior, in fact, every single person in that room put up their hand except for one. And I had a room of 50 plus people. And it's like a lot of them, they're creative, they're artistic, as you said. They're people who like to stand out, be different, be creative, and express themselves differently. And I think that that's where that mindset comes from, is that maybe they weren't. And I think it's unfair to say all stylists are like that. There's a lot of stylists that are great with numbers, super book smart, but we also attract a lot of like kids with ADHD or that were different.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really where it comes from. So it's not I'm
Yeah.
just a hairstylist, it's I am a stylist.
Yeah. And I think it's is if we could help people along, and I know you do this when you talk about with the coaching methods that you do,
Mm,
that the idea is somebody can tell you something, but it's only damaging if you take it in.
100%.
Like if somebody says to you, oh, isn't that cute? Well, you could argue to probably a Saskatchewan. I know we come from the same background. Say we can argue that till the cows come home. But the idea is if somebody pays you a negative, then just say, okay, fine, and just move on. But you
Yeah.
don't have to take it on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm looking pretty cute all the way to the bank when I cash my paycheck every 2 weeks.
I
So
love it. Yeah. So I mean, we know that it's the whole point is I'm just a stylist. So if we can take that out and get rid of that, and I think if we could just start a movement in our industry that, you said this and you coach, and I'd like you to, this is a little off topic from where we are. Maybe it's not, but how would you, like, if somebody said and was taking that on, I'm just a stylist, I'm never going to make money. I'm listening to that little voice in my brain, and that lizard part of me just wants to survive or wants to be accepted or whatever. How would you talk to somebody if somebody said, oh, well, I'm just a hairdresser?
yeah, I mean, first of all, I think this is where whether you're a salon owner or whether you're a stylist, I think it's understanding there's and I can't even credit who made this teaching or this model, but it's like we just call it the results model.
Yeah.
But whenever you embark in something, like if I decided I wanted to lose weight, the result I'm hoping to get is to lose weight.
Yeah.
Right? Most of us can relate to that because everyone's probably tried to watch what they eat at one time or another. And so here's the deal. I think most of us go right to just a behavior change. So it's like, if I eat 1,200 calories, I'm going to do a calorie deficit. I'm going to eat 1,200 calories. And obviously, what would happen if I change? That's a behavior change. If I shifted that behavior, I would lose weight. But the problem is, as soon as I go back to eating, I lose my weight, I go back to eating how I eat, I'm going to gain that weight right back. So behavior changes don't give long lasting results, but it goes deeper than that. So then most of the time we get into mindset, like, why am I eating? Why am I eating when I'm stressed? Like, why do I have the feelings I have around food? And I think a lot of coaches get you maybe into mindset. A lot of us have heard of like little voices or the thought process. But rarely do we go deeper, and it actually goes right into our self-concept. And so our self-concept is what makes us who we are. And there's three important things in the self-concept. It's your self-esteem. So how you feel about yourself. Do I love myself? Am I confident? Do I like who I am? My self-image. It's like, how do I want others to see me? Right? Or how do I see myself? And your self-ideals. And that's like who you hang out with. Right. So the people you aspire to be, they say you're the top 5 people you hang out with.
Yep.
And if we don't get into our self-concept and really look at like, why do I think I'm just a hairstylist? Or, what is it why do I actually want to even lose weight? Yep. Is it because my self-esteem, I don't like the way that I look, I don't feel good about me? Or is it because I care what other people think when they view me? There's no right or wrong, but when you can get into your self-concept and figure out where it's coming from, then it's a lot easier to change your belief system, which sets your mindset. That helps you shift up into changing the behaviors to be actual long-lasting change. So I think that's the long answer, but it's not a short magic quick fix to change your mindset. You have to dig deep and figure out where in your self-concept is that even coming from. Because the big key, and this comes from Mac Newton actually, is that your results will never exceed your self-concept. So it's like, you taught me whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, thank you for that. And anybody listening out there, I would just say this, look at, if you want to know how to change, you need to learn some of this. And later on, we're going to talk about how you can get a hold of Celene, and have her teach more on this. But so we've got, I'm just a stylist. So that's myth number 1. Check mark, busted. It's not there. There's no such thing as I'm just a stylist. We have the right and we have the power to earn any kind of money that anybody else has. And I would put, I can show T4s, W4s, whatever they are here in Canada.
Right.
1099s that where hairstylists are making every bit as much money as other professions are. Let's move on. What's number 2?
Number 2, I think this is a huge one. I think you're only successful if you open your own salon. And it's funny because this came up this week on a really popular Instagram account that coaches hairstylists. And here's the thing. I think that as soon as you get out of hair school, I think there's a lot of pressure from friends and family that's like, once you start getting busy and successful, it's like, why are you working at the salon? They're just taking, 50% of everything that you make. And like, there's a lot of pressure to actually like that I can't be successful unless I open a business. But let's talk about where that perpetuates. That's perpetuating the whole, I'm just a stylist. Like, being a stylist isn't enough. You're only creditable if you can say that you're the owner. And so I think the problem that happens, and the reason why that myth is dangerous, is because it's a completely different skill set to be owner of a business versus a stylist. And so I mentioned that most people are in this industry end up being people pleasers. And it's like, here's the deal. A lot of us are like, there's a lot of people that are like lost souls, just like trying to like build their own confidence and feel good about what they do. And then all of a sudden you now are leading a team of, anywhere from 5. I know salons that have, 50, 100 employees. And now you're leading all these people. And if you believe you're just a hairdresser and you're becoming a salon owner for that reason, then it's going to be really difficult to help. Like salon owner, you're dealing with like coaching and developing personally all of your team,
Yeah.
because if you don't take care of the person, they will not earn. They will not have successful careers. And
And they
so I
won't be
think,
loyal. And they
yeah,
won't be
and
loyal because they don't trust you.
100%.
Yeah.
So I think that there's places for everybody. Like, I mean, I run a team-based salon, but I've also worked at booth rental. Like, I don't think I'm not scared of the commission versus rental scenario. I think there's different places for different people, and I think that it's important that we put people in the right seats in the right places. And I have stylists that have said, I never want to open a salon, Celene. Like, I see what you have to do. Like, I want to do my clients, create amazing hair, take home a great paycheck. Like, I have stylists on my team that are taking home after taxes, like over 100K, and they're working 30 hours a week.
Yeah.
And like, they don't need to have the responsibility of taking care of 15 other humans and paying the bills, the rent, the insurance, like the budgeting, all of that.
I just to that point, I remember. So I remember one person leaving our salon and left on great terms, etc. And I remember doing a show, and I saw this person was walking towards me. You know how there's always the fairway or the what do you call them, the overhang that's between buildings. And I remember that person walking towards me, and we waved at one another, and she waved a little bit more eagerly than I thought. And then when I got close, rather than just passing, she said stop, and she came up to me and said, Chris, I want to stop and say I'm sorry. And I went, for what? She says, because you were telling me what it's like to have a business and to start your own business and everything that worked along with it. And she says, I just thought that was just a bunch of El Toro caca. And I ordered it. But she says, now that I have staff and now that I have people that are coming to me on it and I've had to solve all these problems, I just want to say I'm sorry for any problems that I caused for you. And I just said, look at that. That's nothing. That's all part of business. That's part of the people pleasing business or the people organizing business. And it's the same thing of what you're talking about when people want to own their own business, or they say, I'm a successful hairdresser. I need to own my own business, or I'm a successful hairdresser, esthetician, or a nail art person. And now I'm going to go and become an educator. Completely different skill sets, business skill sets. They're all different. And so I would, if somebody is going to go on to owning, I would suggest, number one, speaking to owners. Number two, taking business classes, unless you've got good. And so just so you're not learning by the seats of your pants and just making it, trying to get by month to month, you've got to have good business skills as well.
100%. I mean, I joined a business program, a coaching program for salon owners before I ever opened my doors, and I would do it again and again. And when people struggle in their business, they often cut out their coach because they're like, "Well, that's the first thing that you need is a business coach." So,
and the last thing that you should get rid of.
Exactly.
Because I've had my coach, I think we have a similar coach, and I've had mine now for probably about 13 or 14 years. And it's one of those happy checks that I write. So
100%.
we went through, I'm just a stylist and you're only successful if you open your own business. What's number 3?
Number 3, a busy book means you're successful. And I think this one ties together so well with like the last one as well. Yep. But whether you're a stylist or a salon owner, I mean, we can make ourselves busy with a lot of things, but that doesn't mean that you're profitable. Like if you're a salon owner listening to this and you have a busy salon, it's like, it's really more about efficiency and productivity. Your salon can look busy, your book can be busy, but that doesn't mean you're profitable. And I think the things that I would look at first as a salon owner are like, do you know the profitability of every single service in your book? Have you gone through profitable pricing training? Do you have a profitable back bar method in place, with things like salon scale, where, you're in the parts and labor. Like there's a lot of things that like, a salon can look successful. I mean, I think we've all seen it. Like, just because you drive a BMW or you drive a Range Rover doesn't mean you have money. I mean, we all have the ability to live on credit.
Yep.
So I think from a salon owner perspective, that's the first thing. I think from a stylist perspective, your efficiency and productivity is so important. You can be the most booked stylist. You can be booked 100%, but if you're not charging properly, you're not, and you're not maximizing your time. Like I can see 2 clients a day in a 6-hour shift and stretch those colors out, take 3 hours, or I can, work efficiently and see 6 clients in a day and double my income. And so whether you like to double book or not, that's not what this is about. You get to choose your own adventure. And there's ways that you can plug and play as a stylist. Like if you don't want to double book, you need higher average tickets. You need to be doing more than one service. Like there's a lot of things you can do to increase efficiency besides just double booking. Yeah. So I think that's really important for salon owners and stylists to really understand.
I remember my dad always used to say to me, he'd say, it's not what you earn. Because, you would go to somebody and go to your dad, your parents, and you say, like, especially your parents, when they said the careers they thought you were going to have, and you can go and look at the money you have now, and you want to kind of brag a little. And I can remember going to my dad and bragging about what I earned that year. And he looked at me, and it was one of probably the best lessons, but the biggest put down that I've ever had. He said, Chris, it's not what you earn, it's what you keep. And I think that's what you're hitting it right on the head there when you're talking about your profitability. At the end game, if everybody just thought about, yes, it's not about my having my shingle above my station or my shingle that it's above the salon door because I own it. But if you, it's what are you earning and what's your take home that you're keeping and earning profit wise for your family?
Yeah, 100%.
I'm not speaking probably for everybody in the world, but if your family is just you, or the family is like many, what are you doing at the end game? This industry is going to spit us out, or we're going to spit it out. 100%. And what have you got at the end game? And that's what I always tell people. Look, you might be doing this all right now, and whether ego is a good or a bad word for you, or whether making the amount of money or doing whatever is good or bad. It's all at the end game. What are you keeping, and what's your life going to be like for you and your family?
100%. You could have a $3 million salon. Like again, it's like a $1 million salon or a $3 million salon, and you could say like, who's more successful? Well, the $3 million salon, but the $3 million salon might be just breaking even, and the $1 million salon could be taking home 10% profit. And the $3 million salon, I'm going to tell you, they're going to have more staff and more problems. Yep. I would pick the $1 million salon. Yep. So, I mean, it's not just about the number that's, on the books.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it really is. It's like people can be, the one thing I love about it when I'm equating this, when you said a busy book means success or successful, people equate that book, people going in and out. But if you're not profitable, if it's not good for you and your family, I've never seen anybody go to the grocery store and buy a pound of butter with saying success. But if you've got the extra money, if you've got the extra profit that comes in for you and your family, then that's the mark. And I think if we taught more kids that when they're going into their business, that they'd be better at the end game.
Yeah, absolutely.
I bet we have something in common. I have this love-hate relationship. I hate paying for something that I'm not using. I hate working in a small, cramped box. Yet, I love working in a cool salon that impresses my clients, and I love the culture and synergy of a team while enjoying the freedom of being my own boss. You too? What if all that was available to you at the salon you rent from? Meet Artist on Go, a game-changing way to rent salon space. With Artist on Go, you only pay for the time you're behind the chair. You can choose a salon that fits your vibe, location, and amenities. With Artist on Go, you're a part of a stylist community, not hustling alone. Plus, you get to enjoy perks like clean towels and back bar supplies. Check out Artist on Go, built for stylists serious about their clients and growing their brand without the hassles of managing a space. Here's the kicker. You can save more than 50% on your rent. To find out more, go to bit.ly/artistongocb. That's bit.ly/artistongocb. So we got, I'm just a stylist.
Number
You're only
4.
successful. A busy book means you're successful. What's number 4?
Number 4, I think this one will hit a lot of salon owners in the heart, but if I don't do it, it won't get done right. And here's the thing, a lot of that, guilty 100%. If you're a type A, if you like the way, sometimes I just think I can do it better than other people. And that's ego. That's 100% my ego speaking, right? And again, like you said, if ego is a good word or a bad, ego is not, everyone has an ego. It's there. It protects you. But you can choose to if you're living in ego and the decisions you make are out of ego, it's not a great thing. Right. And I think as a salon owner, a lot of salon owners, what I see when I'm coaching them is they're doing $15 an hour tasks, something that you would hire your sales desk to do. Yep. Right. And when you're a CEO, you should be doing visionary type tasks, thinking $500 an hour, second location. What can we do to make more money? What can we it's you should be visualizing and making things happen, not, organizing the front desk or whatever it might be.
Micromanaging everybody.
And not only that, you're literally putting yourself in competition and stealing opportunities to grow and raise up your team. And so you're perpetuating this whole idea that nobody can do it right because you're not taking the time to train somebody and to give them the grace to also make the mistakes. So those salon owners end up really burnt out, really broken, and they don't have the ability to have people in the wings waiting to help and step up because of the system they've created. So that's a huge one. I think on the stylist side, I think what often happens is, at the salon, we call this criminal exchange. You're taking care of your clients, you obviously have to keep your space tidy. You're using that space. It's if you cooked in my kitchen, I'd expect you to clean it. If you're going to do clients, out of a salon space, we're a community. We all do our fair share. We sweep, we clean at the end of the night. And sometimes I think, stylists, they do so much for the salon too, to keep that space looking amazing. And I think sometimes they can also feel I do so much around here, right? There's so much that I'm doing for this space and I don't feel appreciated and I don't feel compensated. And so a lot of salon owners will ask, I meet stylists who are I do the social media at my salon. I do this in my salon. I'm doing that. And they're not being fairly compensated. And so I think that's called criminal exchange, and it can happen on both sides. And I think you just got to remember, a great speaker, I know we both know him, Jason Everett from the High Performance Salon Academy. He talked about how we can dehumanize our staff. But then also our staff can dehumanize us as salon owners because it's I'm more than just signing the payroll and fixing the leaky sink. And I have emotions and feelings and I go through trauma and pain just like anybody else. But when you're in that role of being the leader, you sometimes can't really share that with your team. And then on the other side, we also dehumanize our team sometimes. And we're why didn't you guys clean up? The salon is a mess and you didn't get your numbers in and this is happening. And so I think it's just creating a space where we can really make sure that there's a lot of open communication and that we're all working together for the common mission.
Yeah. You hit some amazing points in there. And I think it all still turns back to mindset, doesn't it? It's from whoever it is. And I think everything that I'm hearing in here is all based on mindset. And I know that I don't want to go into this too long and too deep, but I think that there's always, when somebody's motivated versus not motivated, there's something in there that sparked it, and so we got to find out what the story is. And we can often create our own disabling stories. I remember one of my coaches put me through this test, and because I was the micromanager, Still am too a little bit, but my point is, hi, my name is Chris and I'm a perfectionist. But my point is that what is that story calling me? Why do I feel this need that I have to be a perfectionist? And when the person put me through this thing and said, what did it cost you? And when I looked at number of hours per day that this cost me, it actually cost me 3 months out of the year. And one of the results that the disabling story is I wasn't getting time with my family. I was working 10, 11-hour days. I didn't have any chances for holidays. But if I looked at and rewrite the story, get somebody to help me with that story and what's disabling me, and then when I found out if I can just write a different story and I can live by that story, all of a sudden the other stuff, I get all that other stuff back. So once we came up with and helped me understand that there is no such thing as perfection. If I can just say, hey, 80% and done is freaking awesome. That if I can do that and just get something to 80%, doesn't have to be perfect, because it's half of the time I wanted perfect and it never got done.
Yeah.
So if we can understand what it costs us with those disabling stories, then that also helps us to get rewriting the story and go, damn, I've been so silly.
Yeah, well said.
So number 5, what's number 5?
Ooh, this is going to be a hot topic one. So number 5, this I think it hits salon owners and it hits stylists, but there's no way to say it in a line that makes sense for both. So stay with me. You can't afford to let go of your top service provider. So that one is speaking to the salon owner, but the flip side for stylists, it's like, I can't afford, or it'll hurt my career if I leave the salon I'm not happy at. That's kind of the two sides of the coin. And I think this is a hot topic because, like, I will say, having to fire someone is literally the least favorite part of my job. And twice in 10 years, I've had to, specifically myself, had to let go of my highest earner. Mm-hmm. And that was really tough. And I think tough for a couple reasons. Salon owners listening to this, I know you're going to be like, I totally get this. It's like, I didn't sleep. I didn't eat like 2-3 days leading up. Like, it was awful. I actually sat in the car for 40 minutes before I went in to just do the deed. Mm. And my friend was on the phone, who's a salon owner, and was like, get your ass out of the car. Like, you got to do this. Yeah. And here's the deal. I knew that person wasn't happy. They weren't participating in a great way anymore in our salon. Like, they weren't showing up how they should show up anymore. And it was affecting the entire culture of my team. People, I had 5 or 6 people quit because of this person over a span of a few years, but I hung on to them because they had so much growth, they had so much potential, and they were damn good at what they did. Yeah. And fear was like the story. Yep. And so the reality is that if I made that decision out of love, that would look like I need to protect my team, but also that person deserves to be like, we're not going to be for everybody. Some people are a season, a reason, or a lifetime. And this person was like a large season of my business, and zero ill feelings towards them. Now they're quite successful on their own, but they deserve to go somewhere and be happy. And I knew I grew that person as much as I could, and I had nothing left to give, and it was only going to harm them and my business. Yeah. But the trade-off is I know that I'm going to become the villain in that person's story forever. And that sucks. Yeah. Like, that really sucks. And so I think that's the salon owner side. The stylist side is, it's like, you get so used to where you are, whether it's because it's usually fear as well, but whether it's comfort, or you're worried you'll lose clients, or you just don't want to go through the hassle of moving. At the end of the day, I think if you're not happy with where you are, you're not growing anymore, and your values don't align with the place that you're at, you also deserve to be happy. Yeah. And you can say goodbye in a way that's filled with integrity. Doesn't have to be dramatic. Even if you have a dramatic salon owner, or salon owner if you have a dramatic stylist, you still can choose how you respond and react. And you have to detach yourself from the fear on what they may say to other people. I mean, I had to fire somebody for theft. And I mean, they spread all over town that I wrongfully dismissed them, even though I won the suit with the labor board, all the things. Who cares? It doesn't matter. The story
Yeah.
doesn't matter. And I think that that's such a hard one for both
Yeah.
sides.
Yeah. I'm loving what I just put a few notes down here because I love what you were saying. And there's that old expression that sometimes they're gone, but they haven't left yet. And
Mm,
I think if you can catch it before then, because they're either if something happens where they're not the person they were before, if they were good at one time, I'm willing, I'm able, I have the skill, and put me in coach, and you have that kind of, you want to keep them. But if they go over to that other side, you've got to find out what the conflict was. And if it's still there and they're not willing, they're not able, then it's about correction. You've got to get them, you've got to find them a place. I know that you and I talked a little bit about this yesterday, and I was relating the story about a good buddy of mine out of Australia. His name is Benny Tognini, and he had an amazing person that was working for him, but he could just tell he wasn't happy. And he had to sit down with him and said, "Look, I can tell that you're not happy here. So I want you to be happy. So why don't you let me help you find a place where you can be happy in?" And he
hmm
actually went out and recommended, because it wasn't that he was a bad person, just wasn't
For
happy there.
sure.
And he
Yeah.
said, "Let me help you." And he actually helped to find him another job. He was happy there, and they're still good buds. So, I think what you're saying is so spot on, that it was sometimes just the fear of what we have that keeps us from doing it. And like you said, lost people in the other side. I think you probably know my former employer, Bill Ross, out of Saskatoon as well. And I'll remember when I left, because when I was there, I think Bill was so afraid I was going to leave that he would offer me 45, then 50, then 60. I think I was making 65% commission when he left, just to keep me. And when I started the business, he he phoned me up, said, "Got time for coffee?" Which we always did, so it was nothing unusual. So we went out for coffee, and he said, "Chris, I just want to thank you." And I got all puffy, and I was going, "Oh, very cool. What's he going to thank me for now?" And he said, "I want to thank you for leaving." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because I was paying you 65% commission. I hired two more people that I'm paying 35% commission to, and they're doing the same volume that I did, and I'm making more money than I did when you were working here."
Yeah. Well,
So
it's not sustainable.
yeah, exactly. That is the point. And I think
Yeah.
he figured that out.
Yeah.
I mean, to his point, one of the best people, he said, "Here's your 6 months of booking." He actually took me down to the bank and helped me get the loan for the business. He set me up with all the right people. So I tell you, he was one of my mentors, still
Yeah.
is, and I still appreciate him so much. So I just want people to understand that sometimes it's just good, if things aren't working for you or for them, that it is time just to let them go.
It is. And I think one thing that we do that's very different in my company, I just did a job interview. I hired someone last week. And in the job interview, I let them know what it looks like if they're uninvited from our company or they choose to leave. And
Yeah.
like, you don't usually talk about that at a job interview, but I just believe so much in honest conversations. And it's like, listen, like, I hope that this is like a forever fit for you. But the reality is that like we may be a stepping stone for you, and this is what you can expect. And I think, I mean, even the person I fired for theft, we still emailed all of their clients, let them know where to book with this person, because
Yeah.
people are people. I
Yeah.
don't own them. The stylist doesn't own them. And my number one goal is to take care of the culture of my company, so which is the other people that work there, and to make sure that the clients are cared for and don't feel like they're a kid being pulled back and forth in a divorce.
Yeah.
Because I think that looks bad for everybody.
Yeah. Because that,
So
that ruins the relationship you have with that client.
100%. And I
Yeah.
think I think that what I've realized, because we have a red, yellow, green light system, and it's like, if you're ever in yellow, like something's off for you, you're not sure if you're happy or you're upset about something. I want to talk to you in yellow. I don't want to wait till you're in red. It's like
Yeah.
being dumped and not having a clue that the person you were with was even unhappy. Like, I hate that. But what I've realized is that when people quit, and I'm like, well, why didn't they come to me? Why still? Like, they opened their own space and they didn't feel comfortable. Like, did I do something? What I've realized is that crucial conversations are very difficult. All I can do is set up the trust and the framework. And I have some that are like, this is what I want to do. And I have some that, to be quite honest, just aren't brave enough to have those conversations. And I think that I would encourage you that if every business I left and started my own, and I sat down and I talked to the salon owner, I told them what I was doing, and I had those uncomfortable conversations. Because if you can't have that, you're not ready to own a business. Like you have to be willing. Brene Brown talks about being ready to rumble, to get in the ring and have those conversations, even when they're uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, and because I was loving what you said about that if there's no place to grow. And I remember a line that I heard along the way that was, if somebody is working for you, if they don't see that there's a place they can grow into, that they're going to bolt.
Yeah.
So I think that's exactly it. And sometimes, let's face it, as an owner, there is no other. They can go so high, and other than starting their own business or doing whatever, there could be points where there's no place to grow into. And I think that's why profit sharing within your business, becoming part of the organization, if that's your bag and your jam, then that's ways that you can. It's probably out in the game as well.
For
But
sure.
I've just got to, you know, I'm going back in my brain here, and I know what it's like when you say, "Where the hell did the time go?" And I said we've got 10. We've got 10 myths that we've gone to, and we've gone through 5, and we're about at sort of where we want to be at the end game in here. So
We're very ambitious people.
well, I guess, yes, it's always what I do is there's more on my plates, like our classes. I plan more than I can actually do, rather than budgeting. So I just have a simple question. Would you come back?
I'd love to.
And would you come back? And then so we can wrap up those other 5. It would be an honor if you would, because I think these have been such great conversations.
Yeah, I'm green light. Let's do it.
Okay. Now, before I go, what I always want people to do is, I know just from the conversations we had, people are going to want to get a hold of you. They're going to want to know more information. If they want to get a hold of you, what are things that you can either help them with, or how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I love that. So there's a couple different things I do. First of all, my website has everything you need to know. It's www.celenedupuis.com. Pretty simple, just my name. You just have to know how to spell it.
That's 2 E's at CELENE.
Yep. CELENE DUPUIS.
Yeah.
But what I do is, like I said, I'm a certified Little Voice Mastery Coach. It's a 6-week program that it basically helps you become the biggest, most badass version of you. So it's really like you dive deep into the mindset of what your thought patterns are saying and how they're holding you back. So, I mean, I've had people that finish that program and have made, well, I know you took it. You have an incredible story from taking that course, but I have people who, make huge moves in their business. I've had people that have been able to strengthen their personal relationships. Whatever your goal is, we customize it to what do you want to get done in the next 6 weeks? And then we find out what bullshit stories you're telling yourself that actually stand in your way of getting there. So that's the main thing I do. And then I'm a mentor with High Performance Salon Academy. So, I mean, I'm a speaker trainer. I do training and speaking for events. I certainly can be booked for events. But, if you're a salon owner looking to take your business to the next level, it's let's connect. Again, all of that information is on my website. And High Performance Salon Academy, could be a great fit for you.
Yeah. And one thing I will tell, because I've been through that Little Voice Mastery, is that they help you. And I love what you said. They help get over your bullshit, but they're also, it's because you have, in that program, you have an accountability partner that will hold your feet to the fire. And if you say you're going to do something, then you have to do it. Otherwise, you've got to come back and admit that you didn't. And it was one of the best things that I ever did. And it helped me to get where I am today. So I highly endorse that. So, Celene, I'm bummed that we didn't get a chance to get through all of those today, but I think we got through them in depth, and I would sooner do that twice and go through another 5 with you on another bout. So I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Number 1, for being you. Number 2, for making the change that you do in our industry.
Thanks, Chris. You've been a huge supporter to me, and it was like a bucket list item to be here. So thank you.
That's awesome. Well, in the meantime, thank you, and go out and conquer the world.
Thanks.
Thanks again for watching this episode. And if you liked what you heard, remember to smash that like or follow button, depending on your preferred platform. And make sure to share it with anyone you know that might be a fellow Headcase. Headcases is produced by Cut Action Media with Marjorie Phillips doing the planning parts, Lee Baran on the video bits, and Adrian Taverner mixing the audio jazz.